Beyond the Threshold. Originally published in Weird Tales, September 1941, by August Derleth. The story is really my grandfather's. In a matter of speaking, however, it belongs to the entire family, and beyond them, to the world. There is no longer any reason for suppressing the singularly terrible details of what happened in that lonely house deep in the forest places of northern Wisconsin. The roots of this story go back into the midst of early time, far beyond the beginnings of Alwian family line. But of this I knew nothing at the time of my visit to Wisconsin in response to my cousin's letter about our grandfather's strange decline in health. Josiah Alwian had always seemed somehow immortal to me, even as a child, and he had not appeared to change throughout the years between. A barrel-chested old man with a heavy, full face, decorated with a closely clipped mustache, and a small beard to soften the hard line of his square jaw. His eyes were dark, not over-large, and his brows were shaggy. He wore his hair long, so that his head had a leonine appearance, though I saw little of him when I was very young. Still, he left an indelible impression upon me in the brief visits he paid when he stopped at the ancestral country home near Arkham in Minnesota. Oh, in Massachusetts. Those short calls he made on his way to and fro from remote corners of the world, Tibet, Mongolia, the Arctic regions, and certain little-known islands in the Pacific. I had not seen him for years when the letter came from my cousin, Fraulein, who lived with him in the old house grandfather owned in the heart of the forest and lake country of northern Wisconsin. I wish you could uproot yourself from Massachusetts long enough to come out here. A great deal of water has passed under various bridges, and the wind has blown about many changes since you were last here. Frankly, I think it most urgent that you come. In present circumstances, I don't know to whom to turn, grandfather being not himself, and I need someone who can be trusted. There was nothing obviously urgent about the letter, and yet there was a queer constraint, and there was something between lines that stood out invisibly, intangibly, to make possible only one answer to Frolin's letter. Something in his phrase about the wind, something in the way he had written grandfather being not himself, something in the need that he had expressed for someone who can be trusted. Some Native American tribes call God grandfather, or call some entity that they treat as God grandfather. I could easily take a leave of absence from my position as an assistant librarian at Miskatonic University in Arkham and go west that September, so I went. I went harassed by an almost uncanny conviction that the need for haste was great, from Boston by plane to Chicago, and from there by train to the village of Harmon, deep in the forest country of Wisconsin, a place of great natural beauty, not far from the shores of Lake Superior, so that it was possible, on days of wind and weather, to hear the waters sound. Frolin met me at the station. My cousin was in his late 30s then, but he had the look of someone 10 years younger, with hot, intense brown eyes, and a soft, sensitive mouth that belied his inner hardness. He was singularly sober, though he had always alternated between gravity and a kind of infectious wildness. The Irish in him, as grandfather had once said. I met his eyes when I shook his hand, probing for some clue to his withheld distress. But I saw only that he was indeed troubled, for his eyes betrayed him, even as the roiled waters of a pond reveal disturbance below, though the surface may be as glass. What is it, I asked, and when I set it aside on the coupe, riding the country of the tall pines, is the old man abed? He shook his head. Oh, nothing like that, Tony. He shot me a queer, restrained glance. You'll see. You'll wait and see. What is it then? I pressed him. Your letter had the damnedest sound. I hoped it would, he said gravely, and yet there was nothing I could put my finger on. I admitted, but it was there nevertheless. He smiled. Yes, I knew you'd understand. I tell you, it's been difficult, extremely difficult. I thought of you a good many times before I sat down and wrote that letter. Believe me. But if he's not ill, I thought you'd said he wasn't himself. Yes, yes. So I did. You wait now, Tony. Don't be so impatient. You'll see for yourself. It's his mind, I think. His mind. I felt a distant wave of regret and shock at the suggestion